Hello, and welcome to the Heartland College Coaching Program, where we believe every student deserves a coach. We are so glad that you have enrolled in this program and are joining us for today's webinar. During today's webinar, we are going to cover some of the commonly asked questions and information that people who are involved in this program need to know. We're going to talk about expectations for students, families, and consultants. We are so excited to work with you, so let's get started. You are in this webinar because you are one of our students, the family of one of our students, or the consultant for the family and student that's in our program. We wanted to talk a little bit about who our students are. Our students typically fall into three categories: high school students, current college and university students, and adult or returning students. Our high school students, really that captures anyone who's in the middle of their 8th grade year up through their senior year or grade 12. We also work with students who are transitioning from high school to college. So graduating from high school, what does that preparation look like? What does that transition look like? We also work with college and university students who are looking to really figure out what they want for their major, how do they get into graduate school, those types of things, as well as adult or returning students. So this may be people who are coming back to college to finish a degree, maybe start a degree, maybe get an advanced degree based on where they're at. So regardless of where you fall and what category really sums up who you are in this program, know that our coaches are going to work with you where you're at. You're going to get the same level of attention. You're going to get the same high level of customer service as well as information, individualized and otherwise, being sent to you regardless of the category that you are in. Since this is a college coaching program, people often have questions about our coaches. All of our coaches are former or current educators who have spent their lives working to help students succeed, whether that's as a professor, as an academic advisor, student activities, and anywhere in between. We have over 60 years collective experience between our coaches. Each of our students is assigned an individual coach. Even if you're coming in with maybe a sibling or a good friend who is also in the program, you are still going to get an individual coach that's going to help you create an individual and unique plan that's going to help you reach the goals on your educational journey. Our coaches are dedicated to student success. They want to really get to know who their students are, help them really figure out what they want to do, how they want to get there, and provide those resources. Each coach is dedicated to working with the student to co-create. That means working together, not just saying, hey, you absolutely need to do this, but we ask questions and we really try to figure out what does that student want so we can help you co-create the best and unique educational plan for you. Our program is based on several different areas. Again, dependent upon where you are falling in that category of students, this is going to be tailored to where you are at in your life. So we're really starting with what steps to take during high school. Where are you? What types of classes are you going to be taking? What are different ways that you can get involved in your community as well as in your school? How are we going to find that best major for the individual student? Going through the assessment process. We have assessments that we use, and you will receive a link to your individualized assessment from your coach. That's really going to bring together what are your current skills, what would you like to be doing. It's going to give us an assessment to say, hey, here are some ideas to really start looking into. That is really going to help and say, I think I want this particular type of career. And then we work backwards and say, okay, for a specific career, you need a specific major in college. So we start exploring what that educational journey is. Once we've identified what that best major is going to be for that student, we start looking at what the best college or university is going to be for that student. It's imperative that the college or university of choice has the major that the student is interested in that's going to get them to their chosen career or career field. We're going to walk them through what that college application process looks like. And that's not just for students who are seniors. We start talking about that process as early as 8th and 9th grade, figuring out what types of schools are going to go on the list that students are interested in applying for, walking them through how to explore what the different colleges offer, the different size of colleges, their locations, the academics they offer, as well as the financial aid. We're also going to explore and apply for every possible source of financial aid, whether that's federal or state programs, scholarships and grants, or the individualized financial aid that can be offered from the specific school when students are accepted to that. So we will walk families through that program, help students to really start seeking out those scholarships. Again, we start having those conversations as early as 8th and 9th grade, getting students used to searching for scholarships, seeing what's available. More scholarships become available as they get older, but we want them to start building that skill as early on as possible. And then really that last piece of finalizing the results, this is when students are accepted into a specific college or university, potentially if they are an adult or returning student, or if there's those students that are already matriculated, if they're already in college or university, we're then looking at what that transfer process is like. So we're looking at reevaluation letters, specifically around financial aid, helping to close that gap, helping the family and the student to really evaluate the acceptance letters, what type of financial aid package are they looking for, and actually making sure that everything, helping to verify that everything is received. So this slide really represents the cornerstones of our program. We're going to start with that student assessment that I talked about just a moment ago. It's going to take into account the career interests, the current skills, and the values of the student. Again, dependent upon the age of the student and where they're at in the program, we are always going to start with this assessment, but it's going to be tailored to that student, to their life experience, and what they want their educational journey to be. That assessment is going to then lead us into the career exploration to say, from your assessment, it looks like these career families and fields may be interesting to you. We use a system called the Cooter assessment system. And again, you will receive an individualized portal that from your coach that you can log into, where you can take your assessment, where all of your results are housed. It's a place where you can then go in and start looking at the different careers that are in there. There's currently 16 different career families that are in there, with large numbers of specific jobs and careers under those 16 umbrellas. And so that's a place for you to go in and start doing that research and to keep that. Mark your favorites. Your coach can go in, if you ask them to. Parents and families also have access to that information as well. So when we start looking at the career exploration based on the student assessment, we're looking at things like work conditions, what type of education is required for that career, what's the income potential for that particular career, and what's the job outlook. With as quickly as technology is moving, there are jobs that will not be available in the next 10 years. And on the flip side, there are jobs that aren't currently created that will be coming around in the next 10 years. So what does that job outlook appear to be for the student? Once we've kind of started narrowing down and have gotten more comfortable with the research side of what that career exploration looks like, we're going to go into that career guidance. And so we're going to start looking at the various careers that students have identified as interesting for them, talk to them about what is interesting about that to them, not just, oh, someone said I should be interested in this, but again, we're going to take that unique individualized approach to say, hey, what are you really interested in doing and why? We're going to encourage our students and walk them through how to do career interviews of people who are already doing those jobs, that are already in the career fields that they are interested in. We're also going to talk to them about job shadowing. That's typically a 1 to 5 day, a short period of time shadowing of someone, again, who is doing that career, who is employed in that job, potentially looking at internships when they do become age eligible for that, getting that hands-on experience, either paid or unpaid, but really getting that hands-on experience, making sure that that is something that the student wants to do. Changing your mind is absolutely human and it's absolutely natural. We want students to start getting this experience early on in high school, early on in the college process, because we don't want that to be coming up at the end of college when you're going to potentially have to change majors or change even potentially schools, which is going to equal time and money. So then when we move on to the college selection, again, as I referred to earlier, we want to make sure that the colleges that are on our list have the majors that are going to get us to that career that we are choosing at this point. We're going to walk you through what the admissions process is, talk about SAT and ACT prep, the best way to prepare for that, as well as what is a good goal for that individual student on what those test scores should be, which is based on what their whole application package is going to look like, as well as what are the averages and required scores for the schools that they are interested in. Again, we're going to walk through that cost and financial aid and really walk through what would be a good fit. We want our students to thrive when they get to college. It's not only about the academics, although that's a big piece of it, but we want it to be an environment where the student is going to thrive. We have a wonderful program that truly helps the students who engage in this program. What you can expect from the coach is that you're going to get an experienced coach who puts student development and success first. Like I said earlier, our coaches are dedicated to the success of their students. They are knowledgeable. They work on a team of knowledgeable coaches where they will get information. They will figure out the unique questions and answers that students have to be able to get them to where they say that they want to go. We will take the time to get to know the student and not just treat it as a cookie cutter program. We really get to know the students and ask those questions. We want to create an individualized personal education plan alongside of the student. And that is what you can expect, is that it won't be dictating that students have to do any certain things, although we will highly recommend certain things be done to get to the end goal that the student has identified. You're also going to get consistent communication. Primarily, communication is via email, but work with your individual coach to say, hey, can we have a Zoom call, which looks like Skype, it's a video call. So maybe it's a Zoom call, maybe it's a phone call. We also offer different webinars throughout the month on different topics. So there's a lot of ways to get information from Heartland and from your specific coach. And you want to make sure that you know that the coach will communicate primarily with the student, and making sure that you know that the families as well as the consultants are copied on all of the email communications that the students get. We do that to make sure that, one, everybody is receiving that information, because this is a whole team effort to make sure that that student is successful. So we want to make sure that everyone gets that information. So if parents, consultants, or students have questions about recommendations that are going out or the answers to questions that have been sent, that we are all in this together and are able to have that conversation. The expectations of the student is that you are involved, that by simply signing up for this program, that's not enough. You have to really read through the monthly recommendations, respond to your coaches, ask questions of your coaches. That's really what we mean by being involved and being engaged. We want you to respond to communications from the coach, whether that's a quick email that says, okay, I got this, thank you, or if you have a question based on something that's in the recommendation, or something that has come up in school, or a friend has talked about maybe a specific job, career, or a university, something along those lines. Reach out to the coach. That's our job. That's our role, is to be involved. We want you to read the monthly recommendations thoroughly. These recommendations are sent out based on your year in school and the time of year that it is. So we know when the financial aid questions are coming up. We know when the PSAT or the SAT and ACT tests are coming up, when students should really start thinking about what types of activities they want to get involved in high school. So we want you to read through those monthly recommendations, see what questions you have, see what resonates with you, and engage in a conversation with your coach. Again, when applicable, we want you to attend the online special events. These are at no cost to you. You can click on, you get an hour's worth of content, different information based on, again, the time of year, questions that we have had throughout the year. And it's a really great way that folks that are on these webinars can ask questions of the coach and of the staff that's on there. And the last piece for the student is really to be open and honest. That, you know, if something is coming up for you and it doesn't feel right, hey, I really don't like these careers that have been sent to me, great. Let's have a conversation about that. Let's really figure out what you are interested in. Again, if you choose not to be engaged in this program, the program doesn't work all that well. We can throw all the information we want at you, but we want you to absorb it. We want you to figure out the best way to utilize that for yourself and to communicate that with your coach. The expectations of the parents and families of the students enrolled in this program are similar. We want you to be involved. We want you to ask questions. We want you to help your students learn to engage with the coach, learn how to write those emails back, how to form the questions that they have for that. We want you to help the student remain in the driver's seat. Because this is a program that is designed for students, we want parents and families as well as consultants to be involved in the co-creation of this educational plan for the student. And we know, and research backs this up, that when the student is truly involved in this, then the plan is going to they're going to be more involved with that plan. That's going to resonate more with them, and they are going to be able to move forward more easily than if someone else is telling them what they need to do. We want you to talk about those monthly recommendations with your student. Like I said earlier, you're going to receive a copy of that. It's going to be the same thing that your student is receiving, so you can read through that and say, hey, son or daughter or student, what did you think about this? Where are we at on looking at this, particular monthly recommendation bullet? Again, we want you to also attend any applicable online special events. This isn't required, but it is such a great way to get timely information based on something that may be happening throughout the year, based on what our coaches know to be true about questions that families and students and consultants typically have. And we want you to be open and honest. Our coaches are not mind readers, and so it's really, really helpful when families and students and consultants can share their thoughts with the coach so we know how to best work with the family to serve the student in the best way. Most of these expectations are also of the consultant as well. We want you to be involved. We want you to be able to create that relationship with the family and with the student so you can help ask those questions as well. Again, keeping in mind that we want the student to be in the driver's seat. Now, we all know that our students sometimes need nudges. They need to learn how to be in that driver's seat. And so we want to model the way for them when it comes to that. We want to ask them the questions around, hey, have you talked to your coach about X, Y, and Z? And really plant that seed with them before we go and just ask the coach ourselves as the parents or the consultants. But we want to make sure that our students are, again, being involved with this. Again, talk about the monthly recommendations with your clients when that's applicable. Again, when it's applicable, attend those online special events. Be open and honest. And if you have questions, direct them to the coach first. Oftentimes there's a miscommunication because of email or something along those lines. So ask the coach the question, and we'd be happy to engage with any answers that we can give, any conversations that we can have, and really walk through that. Here's what you can expect after you have this webinar. You're going to get an introductory communication from the coach with information. It's going to have their contact information as well as your Cooter assessment login information. You're going to schedule your initial Zoom or phone call with your coach. Go back and forth, figure out the best time, knowing that there are some different time zones that are involved there. But this is a chance for you to really get to know one another, so be prepared. Coaches are going to ask questions based somewhat on the paperwork that gets turned in for you, verifying your age and your location and those types of things. But this is really a chance to start getting to know you. So be prepared to tell your coach about what you like to do to have fun. What do you do with your friends? What are you looking for from this program? What do you think you're interested in studying? What do you think you're interested in for career moves? So this is a really great time for you to be able to share that information, as well as ask some questions from your coach. Why do you want to do this work? How did you get into this work? What's your philosophy around coaching? You can ask whatever questions you would like, but we want you to be prepared. We want you to think about what that first initial phone call is going to look like. That first call is really going to be where you start building your individual education plan, where you can share your future plans and dreams. The more you share with your coach, the better the outcome. Again, we're not mind readers, and so we want to know what questions you have, what dreams and aspirations you have, so we can provide the tailored resources that are going to help you get to that. You're also then, after that call, you're going to start getting resources and recommendations from the coach. That's going to be in the form of your monthly recommendations, as well as any tailored information that you all have either talked about on that initial call or that you have communicated via email about. It's important to look at what the deadlines are, as some of those things may be time sensitive materials. There may be some deadlines for that. So make sure that you are reading through all of those pieces. And again, if you have questions, please ask your coach. This slide is really about the Cooter assessment tool and site. And so once you go in, again, you're going to get an individualized username and password that is unique to you. Parents also have access to that site. If you have any questions on how parents can access that, email the coach and let them know that you would like that information, and we'd be happy to send that to you. But this is a very, very rich site. It has a lot of information. Not only does it have the assessments that we have talked about, but it does start having information about your educational planner, how to think through what classes to take in high school to make sure that you are prepared when you are applying for colleges and universities, looking through what the different occupations and careers are, how to find the best college major, how to look for the different colleges, and it's got a lot of information on that, as well as financial aid information and scholarship search and a resume builder. There's a lot of information in there, and the really good news is that you have access to this. Once you get that information from your coach and you log in the first time, you have access to this portal, and we encourage you to play around in here, get comfortable with it, start marking favorites, see what comes up. A lot of the monthly recommendations are going to talk about going into Cooter to update your resume or to do a college search and come back with 3 to 5 colleges that look like they match your criteria. Something along those lines. You're going to find scholarships in this as well. So start getting comfortable with this and let your coach know if you have any questions. We talked about one of the things that everyone can expect from the coach is consistent communication. Again, that's going to be primarily email due to the nature of recommendations and documents being sent. It's a lot easier to get that in an email than over the phone. It takes into account some of the time zone differences that we are experiencing, but there's always an opportunity to do phone or Zoom calls, and you can schedule that with your coach by appointment. Each individual coach is going to handle this in the best way. So this is one of the things that I would encourage you to talk about during that first phone call with them, is what is the best way to communicate with you. You're going to get monthly recommendations that are tailored to your year in school as well as the month. The delivery methods vary from coach to coach, but it's typically you're going to get that via email with different attachments. You're going to get regular emails to check in. Again, we really want for you, once you get one of those check-in emails from your coach, respond back, give an answer, let them know that you received that, and then we can make sure that, one, that our systems are working, and two, we want to make sure that you are getting and understanding what you're receiving. If the information is unclear to you or you have questions and we don't know about that, we can't really help you with the resources. So again, we want you to be actively engaged in this program. And as a reminder, parents and consultants are copied on all email communications from the coach. If that's a question that a student asked, we're going to reply all and make sure that the consultant as well as the parents are getting that information. You can see that special circumstances may arise where students ask for a private conversation with the coach. We will engage in those conversations, and then we will have a conversation with the student about what's the best way to move forward with that. That doesn't happen all that often, but we did want to make sure that folks know that that's a possibility. Please know that each coach has their own email style and format, so that's going to look different from coach to coach, but the level of communication, the consistency of communication, as well as the level of resources, the high level of resources that you are going to get from a Heartland coach is going to remain the same. People, specifically students enrolled in this program, really want to know what the workload or homework is going to look like. And this is going to be based on the time of year, based on your year in school. So there is always something to do. Even if you're an 8th grader or a 9th grader, we're going to want you to start looking at different scholarships that are out there. That's going to look, very different from what our seniors or our current college students are looking at, because some things are going to be more time sensitive. So we will work with you on what that looks like. Oftentimes, it's going to be research based. Go into that Cooter account, start looking at careers that are interesting, start doing that college search so you can start building that list. So when you get to the point in time when you are applying for scholarships, when you are applying for colleges and universities, you already have a list that you have been researching for some time now. Items in the recommendations may not be time sensitive, but it's a great time to start looking into them. And if they are time sensitive, you're going to want to start working on that right away. If you have questions about how you are doing in the program, what you should be doing, what you should not be doing, what's a great use of your time in regards to the Heartland program, contact your coach, ask that question. We would much rather have you ask the question than sit with that anxiety of, should I be doing something? Should I not be doing something? So please contact your coach. Here are some tips to get the most out of your Heartland experience. We want you to be involved. We want you to ask questions, communicate regularly with your coach, share information about what's going on in your life with your coach. This may be academic in nature. There may be something that's coming up that's really affecting how you're doing academically, how your time is being spent. Let your coach know that. They may be able to help you navigate some of that. They may be able to help provide some resources. So be sure, again, it goes back to that open and honest piece of it, but having a fuller, clearer picture of what our students are experiencing allows us to help tailor those resources to, again, make sure that you are successful on your educational journey. And students specifically, please include your parents and the consultant in the communication. Parents want to know that students are responding to their coach, that they have these different questions. So the easiest way to do that is to simply reply all to the coach. And if for some reason you forget that, it's fine. The coach will reply all and make sure that your parents and families, as well as the consultant, is included on those responses. Congratulations on joining the Heartland family. We are so excited to begin working with you. You should receive a communication from your coach shortly. Please start working with them. Set up that initial phone call. Think about the questions you want to ask them. Start thinking about your future. We already are. We are excited to work with you, and we can't wait to begin. If you have any questions specifically about this webinar or about our program in general, this slide captures all of our contact information. So please feel free to give us a call or send us an email, and we will get back to you shortly. We hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful experience with Heartland, and we look forward to working with you.